back. You do have to change her because she has a bra. Therefore, her parts, the straps on the shoulder would show up. Some patients and some of you guys would just say, oh, just go ahead and undo your bra and put them down. Sometimes it's just easier having them changed. Again, it makes no difference. Do whatever you want to do. I'm a tech. You guys are going to be a tech. You're going to do what you want anyway, so makes no difference. I do an apiaxial based on her history. I can tell she's able to move. So I'm only going to do 15 degrees cephalic angle. And I place my century in the middle of her neck. So go ahead and bring your chin up as high as possible. Gonion, it has to be lower again than her mentum, which this finger is higher than that one. So I know she has proper head extension. Therefore, I only have to angle my tube 15 degrees. And then I divide her neck in half. And the century is at C4. Obviously, she doesn't have a pronounced Adam's apple. She has one, but she doesn't have testosterone, therefore it's not pronounced. For you guys, it's easier to see your Adam's apple, but for a female, all we're doing is dividing the neck in half, just like we take a normal x-ray, divide it in half, one way and two ways. Make sure she's centered. I move the tube, move the bucky, and then before I do anything, I have to go in front of her, make sure her face is straight. And when I look at her, I never look directly at her. She, as a patient, would look at me, but I never look at her. I either look above her eyes or below her eyes. I never look in her eyes because you're just going to feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Someone staring at you in your eyes like this close.
So side-to-side collimation only, top to bottom never changes. That stays at 12 inches length. And then this marker finds light field in every single x-ray. Shielded in the front, she just holds her breath 40 inches because there's no OID.
Cool.
Any questions on that one? Okay. Change out your cassette. I do my obliques now. I keep it angled 15 degrees. So I go back to 72.
Could you do all the 40 degrees first and then 70?
You can do it any way you want to.
Okay.
I don't, but you can do it again any way you want to do it.
Gotcha.
Okay, now I could change the. No, I could take this pad off. Hold on a second, Sasha. And I do RPO first. You do LPO second because LPO immediately turns into a left lateral. You don't go LPO, RPO, then back to your left. So it's the same thing for B East. I do RPO first. I stand behind her, place my hand like this, like you were doing with ribs. Put my thumb 90 degrees to her vertebral border of her scapula. Then I have to go in front of her. She's now 45 degrees. I relax her shoulders down. I rotate her head and lift her chin. Her head cannot have tilt to the board. It has to maintain straight, but her head cannot be parallel to the board. Her head can go parallel. What the heck is she doing here?
Gotcha.
She's obviously not that hurt. So you guys would have heard other techs say, look up into the corner where the ceiling and the wall meet or something like that. Some techs say that. Whatever you want to say, the concept is as she looks up to the ceiling, it brings her chin up in a natural position. You rotate her head off of 45 just to bring the mandible away from the cervical. So her body is 45, her head is probably about 60. But it's not perfectly parallel. Again, I'm between her neck at C4, which I'm perfectly, you are the perfect height. And then now I divide her neck in half, front to back. And in here, typically the middle of that line will be right in front of her ear, which it is. All I'm doing is dividing her neck in half. I keep my marker, again, in the light field on the left side of her, which is behind her neck. Shielded still in the front. And hold your breath. Come back out, change the cassette, and go ahead and turn to the left. 45 degrees to the left, hand, thumb on the vertebral border of her scapula, then I go in front of her. As I rotate her, I always make sure my hands are up on her clavicles so she doesn't over rotate. I have to position my patient. So I'm in charge. Relax her shoulders. Head turn and lift her chin. Again, top to bottom, not gonna change because she didn't grow all of a sudden. And side to side, just make sure she's centered. And again, marker is right in that light field in front of her neck. Hold your breath. Now go ahead and turn and put your left side against the board, ma'am. I have no angulation on the tube for a lateral. I place the Centre right back to where I started at, C4. Change out my cassette at C4 because it's the same central ray. Put my bucky. When I place my bucky here, all I do is check to make sure it's at the top of her ear. I don't do anything else. If it's above the top of her ear, awesome. If it's at the top of her ear, awesome. If it's below her ear, your central ray is wrong. That's the only thing I'm looking. I've already placed it to C4 and I align my tube and bucky and see that it absolutely is above her ear. Shoulders, relax down. Feet shoulder width apart. Move your left foot to the left. Good. She has a nice long neck. I don't need to add weights to her. The only thing that I need to do is make sure that she has no rotation to her head. So I typically do a lot of stuff behind her to make sure there's no rotation, but I'm already right here, so I can do it. Okay, chin has to just be straight. So all I'm doing, if I extend it up in a lateral, my spinous processes are going to curve into each other. So I can't have head extension for this x-ray. But if I bring it down, my chin, or not my chin, not my mentum, but my gonions will go into my cervical. So I have to just have the patient looking straight ahead. Centre was at C4, again making sure front to back is aligned. Relax those shoulders down. Marker in the light field in front of her throat. Collimate side to side. Shield now on the left, on her lateral side. On her right side, lateral side. And blow your breath all the way out and hold it out. Beat. Come back in, change the cassette. Ma'am, put your back against the board one last time. This is when I do my open mouth. I thought it was your glasses. Moving. Everything you do first, do while she has her mouth shut. Okay? You don't want to keep her mouth open for 3 minutes because it's like you being at the dentist. Your mouth starts to close and then the dental hygienist says, open your mouth again. You open it. Open your mouth again. You cannot keep it open as wide as you can for that long. Therefore, do as much as you can with her mouth shut and then open it at the final thing. But you can only open it one time. You can't open it, check things, and then open it, tell her to close it, then open it a second time. You got one shot. So I aligned it up to the middle of her lips because she's going to be open in her mouth. So her mouth is going to be open, so I just start there as long as she's looking straight ahead at my tube. When that is there, I align my tube and my bucky. I'm going to be pretty darn close now with my central ray. Even if I had to move it a ½ inch, it's pretty darn close. Place my marker next to her head. Collimate down to the size of her mouth, which I had already done because I didn't want it to be in her eyeballs when I brought it up to 40 inches. So it's only to the size of her mouth. Now I tell her to open her mouth, just a second. But as I tell her to open her mouth, if I'm standing on this side, my thumb has to go on her mastoid tip. And what I'm looking for is when she opens her mouth, the bottom of her top teeth has to be in alignment with my thumb right here. So I put my hand on her head up here because I don't want to touch her chin. That's weird to me. I don't like people touching my face. So I put my hand up here on her skull. That way if I had to move her, I can maneuver her myself and I don't have to say anything really to her. So now go ahead and open your mouth wide open, wider. Good. And I have to look at the bottom of her teeth to be straight with my thumb, and they absolutely are where she is. Perfect. Now with her like this, open the mouth. Make sure the centre is in the middle of her mouth, which it is. I now go in front of her, no tilt or rotation. Shielding in the front, run, take that x-ray, hold your breath, beat, come back, you can go ahead and relax your mouth. Okay? When you do that one again, the bottom of your top teeth, so bring your head up. If my mastoid tip is here, open your mouth. You can see the bottom of her top teeth is not in alignment with her
Gotcha.
mastoid tip. The concept of that is if I start her out already looking straight, I have little movement. But if I start her where she's looking at the ceiling because she's awkward, you know, I mean, it's awkward being in here and she doesn't really know what's going to happen. She's starting out like this, I'm going to have to really maneuver her. If she's looking at her feet, well, this is a cervical spine x-ray. I always want her looking straight ahead. So if I say, look straight at this for me, then I have little movement that I have to do. The more you overthink this one, the wronger, if that's a word, you will be out in the field. I've had students come back and say, I can't get the open mouth. I say, stop overthinking it. Tell the person to look straight and open their mouth. Then they get it every time. Just don't. If she had removable teeth, we would have removed all of that from the beginning, remember. Her earrings, of course, would be out. Now, if you had to do flexion and extension, it would have come after your lateral, because your lateral acts as a neutral, remember. Central ray still at C4. Wow, you're healed.
Yeah.
You're cured. Shoulders relaxed down like she was from the beginning. Head straight like she was from the beginning. I would have taken this lateral first. I would come back in. I have to tell her she cannot move. That was some of your things from last week of doing ribs. I have to be in charge of my patient. If this acts as my neutral, she cannot move. She can't move away from the bucky for you to reposition her because that now isn't your neutral anymore. I tell her, don't move. I change the cassette. I now say bring your chin to your chest as much as possible. Whatever as much as possible for her. And I have to recenter her front to back. Shoot that x-ray. Same on expiration. I come back in. Change out my cassette. Hold on to her, chin up. And now go back as far as possible. And again, reposition her if I have to. And then reshoot that one on expiration. Come back in, go ahead and you can relax. Okay, is there any questions on that? at all? Okay, go ahead and switch.